My goal for this talk is to discuss what's happening right now, at least in my studio, what we're doing with AI as potentially kind of a framework for the students to understand what they're heading into, as a reference point for other studios to gauge how far they are ahead of Microverse Studios, and to just generally give a sense of where we are and where we're headed. I have budgeted 5 minutes for the presentation and 25 minutes for question and answer. So the first thing that we do, like the thing that we've been doing for the last couple of years, is using AI for inspiration. At Microverse Studios, we use visual metaphor to come up with a just a general idea to create a shelf in the brain for the audience to place the information, because everything we do is abstract. It's all transparent and shaped like boogers. So we want to make sure that that the audience has a sense of familiarity. So to do that, we'll start by saying it's nucleotides, right? So it's going to be flower garlands underwater, and we have a sense of what the overall composition might be. We'll definitely know what the color palette is, and so you can feed into Midjourney or any of the image generators. You can feed in something like this that's just generated in Photoshop in like 3 minutes, and then with your text input, it'll generate after probably a few iterations something that gives a good framework. Okay, I'm going to show this to the client. I'm going to say, okay, client, this is how we're going to be lighting your scene. This is how everything is going to feel. This is overall mood. And then that we then will apply to concept art, which will be a little bit more researched, right? It's still pretty vague, but everything is the right scale. We've got the right number of nucleotides for these exons and so forth. So that's kind of the foundation. I think that most folks that are coming into grad school right now, most folks around here, already have some sense of this and some protocol for it. But then this year, we've started using it for actual production. Right now, AI is very good at people. I mean, not always, and I'll show you some examples. But for the example I'm about to show you, we have a client where they had a huge thing happen. They went IPO, and they wanted to do a thing that had some of their top people doing kind of power poses, looking cool. And so they brought in a video company to record them. They are not normal people, and they didn't look comfortable. These are biotech experts and scientists, and so when you put somebody that has never been in front of a camera and say, look natural, you don't get a lot of natural movements and stuff. There's a lot of uncomfortable shifting and so forth. And so the video that the video company provided to that company was not really usable, but they still needed it. And so and so we used AI. And I'm going to play this video for you, and you're going to get to see. I'm going to point out where all the places were that we used AI.
Generate Biomedicines is bringing AI-generated therapeutics into the real world. What used to be a hypothesis, an aspiration, we've brought to the clinic. We broke from convention, deliberately building a radically interdisciplinary culture that eliminates the barriers between computation and biology. Theory and reality. Inspiration and results.
That's AI.
Converging
That's
disciplines
AI.
allow us
AI.
to design
AI.
and build a
AI.
continuous cycle of discovery
Also
that
AI.
tightly couples computation and experimentation. Machine learning drives generative protein design, which powers massive multimodal experimentation that in turn trains our system to yield ever more effective and fine-tuned results. an intelligent framework that learns from experience, with human insight embedded at every layer. Our lab isn't just automated, it's augmented. Our workflows observe, learn, and react to their environment. This isn't a handoff between code and bench. It's a living feedback loop, where computation guides the lab, and the lab informs the model, continuously, in real time. Discovery doesn't pause. It compounds. This is Generate.
So, I played the whole video for you. Obviously, only about 10 or 15 seconds of that was actually AI generated, but it was kind of a critical bit. And in each of those shots where you had these people that, if I had just used a still, it would have felt like a still. It's weird. They were on screen for maybe 10, 15 frames, but like the tiny little movements that a person does are what make it feel alive. And AI is very good at that. And so, rather than show you the protocol that I used for these people, I know this is going to be living online, so I don't want to like just start to throw photographs of their employees around. This is a released video, so it's fine. I'm going to show examples on me, but using photographs of me. But specifically, I'll tell you right now, the protocol was you take the picture, you put it into the whatever image editing API you're using. They're all they all use the same models. And you say, make the person look relaxed and well-rested and like they haven't been up for the last month and a half getting ready for the IPO, and they're confident and they know everything and everybody is looking up to them. Like you type in all this stuff and you iterate on that, and eventually you have something that goes from somebody being like this to being somebody that like looks like they're ready for, for what's ahead. So this is my absolute best portrait that I have. The first thing you probably want to do is you want to take the initial image and you want to animate it, right? So I had a photograph. This is AI animating my photograph. And what ends up happening is you get a variety of different frames out of that you can pick the best one of. Because every video is a whole bunch of photographs, like a whole bunch of frames. And you can pick beginning and end frames. You can pick exactly the right frame that has what you want. You then take your foreground and your background, and you tell it to, in this case, for this exercise, I said, okay, take the person, make him a little bit more handsome and look intelligent, and give him a blue suit, and, blue suit and a burgundy tie, and put him in front of the laboratory. And it did this. And that actually is like a little bit more handsome than me. Like, anyway, so, and then I had it animate just to give just a little bit of a something. And then, so in the other part where you saw the dude turn into the sparkles and the sparkles do something, the sparkles themselves were in Cinema 4D, but to get it to go to the side where the sparkles are arranged in the man's configuration, AI is super good at depth maps. So I just had, I tried a bunch of different ones. Like I think that Nano Banana did the best, but ChatGPT also did a pretty good job of just creating a depth map that then I used to extrude a plane and then do MoGraph on it, and it was super easy in Cinema 4D. So, and I'll show I will do an absolute speed run of these protocols in just a minute. But for right now, I'm going to move on to the next use case that we have. And that's rapid iteration on styles for treatments. In pharmaceutical animation, typically you've got like Havas and Publicis and these giant agencies that work with the huge pharmaceutical companies, and they have massive mega budgets, and they always triple bid every single time. No matter how good you did on the last project, they will always triple bid you. And you're going to be going against probably somebody who always lowballs, somebody who is really good but very different from you, and then you. And you have no idea who else is on the triple bid. And it is the most abusive practice, in my experience, in our industry. Because basically the point is, they say, okay, well, we know that you can do this. We want you to do some of the work so that we see how you're going to do the work so that we can decide whether we want to pay you to do the work, right? So there's days amounts to being thousands of dollars of effort. Like just the raw economics of it, that is a huge investment on our part. So I say screw that. Make something super quick in Cinema 4D, right? This is an actual project. I positioned some things. It's for an instructions for use on dosing. There's a syringe and a little medicine bottle and a little stopper. A little bit of Pinterest research. Get multiple ideas, multiple different styles, because the more treatments you put out, the more likely it is for you to have something that's going to resonate with the client, right? So, like, and that's another problem with the agency with the treatment process, is that you put all of this effort, days and days of effort in a breakneck turnaround, stay up all night scenario, and if what you create isn't close to what the client had in mind, the client is not an artist, by the way, then like it doesn't matter how much work you put into it and how great it was going to be. And so this allows for a little bit more of a shotgun approach while you can still heavily curate. There's one or two little gotchas in the process, though. You got to be real careful. So with those, like the Nano Banana is a fantastic model. There are multiple different iterations of it, but it'll allow you to, you can upload your base image and say, in the style of this image, and it'll do it. And so you can put multiple different styles in front of the client that all kind of have they land totally differently. And you can say, well, which do you like best? And the client can go from there. You do have to be careful, though, because AI cannot make production-ready imagery right now, or at least not on any kind of reliable basis. And so everything that you commit to, you have to be ready to generate in your own software. Like your animators need to be ready to actually make that, like what you're committing to. So this is a big, this is a big ask, you know? Like if making it look like real watercolor, I think we can do it, and the way I pictured it is we'd do it with like probably Substance Painter or something like that. But in any case, you can take this and whatever styles you've got, you can then have AI change the configuration of it, put it on a table, make the hand closed, whatever you want to do. And the idea is that that you only have to make that first image, and then you can use AI to kind of shotgun blast and iterate. And this turns what, a 3-day process into a quarter-day process, which is much less of an investment. Now, that said, it doesn't work for cellular imagery, at least not very well. And the reason is that AI has no idea what science even is. But that's the future. We'll get to that. I'll talk a little bit about prognostications for the future in a moment. All right, so now I'm going to show those speed runs. This first one is basically a run through of how I did the images. So these image generators are LLMs connected to image generators. So they understand your file names. They understand your instructions. The first thing I said was, this is titled Cameron on the left, Lucian on the right. And I said, take Cameron out and put him in front of the lab. That was an experiment. It didn't know which one of those two was Cameron, based on the file name. So I said, take the one on the left out and put him on the right, make him more handsome, and everyone wants to hear what he has to say. And it did a pretty good job, let's see, so you can see it go, and then some iteration. You'll note that I didn't really like how these guys looked, and so I ended up going with my portrait, posing as a professional portrait, give him the blue suit, dark burgundy tie. He is very smart and handsome. And it goes pretty quick, at least with the image generation. This is sped up at about probably 3 or 4 times. There you go. Looking great. Okay, I'm going to move on. And then the next one that I did This one is a, which one is that? Wait, go back. Okay. Yeah, so this is just how I did the depth map. So again, you get your image, and all you have to do is just create a depth map, and it'll just do it. Now, I mentioned the completely black background. You need to specify some of those things. Generally speaking, with these image generators and image editors, you want to be as specific as possible, and at least in the beginning, trust it to understand what you're asking for. So there are some limits. This is Runway ML. I'm not actually advocating for any of these specific websites. They're all the same. You know, they all reference VO3, they all reference Nano Banana, and so forth. There's a lot of hype surrounding them. They show you, like, all these videos are looking great, right? How many iterations do you think it took to make all those videos? A lot, let me promise you that. And they're only within the realm of what will actually work. So when I did this with VO3, I wanted to see if, VO3 is my favorite so far, but I wanted to see if it could make, you know, the like transition from the first frame to the last frame, which it normally can. But it said it was blocked, and probably that's because it had syringes and medicine and stuff like that, and it like has some sort of guardrails that don't want us to be doing that. And unfortunately, in medical work, most of what we do has to do with hard drugs. So, yeah. So anyway, this was what Runway ML did, and as you can see, things fall apart really bad. Just really bad. Like this, I would never put this in front of a client, because the first thing that's going to happen is the client is going to completely lose faith. You don't want to ever put something in front of the client that they might mistake as being your implication for finished work that is going to look like, that isn't right. Like, I would never put this in front of this client and say, oh, this is what we're planning on doing, but it's going to look a little bit different. You'll lose them, and never do that. This is actually a real use case for an actual project, just got submitted. This is for a total replacement heart, and this is all AI, completely AI generated. Like, person doesn't exist, city doesn't exist, none of that, it's all real, fake. But the device is based on their device, which is a implantable heart with pneumatic tubes that come out of you and go into a backpack that keeps you alive. The pneumatic tubes pump air into this heart that pumps the blood through your body. And the whole idea is that you can walk around, like while you're waiting for your new heart, for your donor, you can actually live a life outside of the hospital. And so, like, and they're trying to communicate that to people, that this is a big deal. This file is called "Don't Use After 5 Seconds." Looks great, right? Oh no. Yeah. So you have to kind of work your way around the artifacts. This is another one, same project. And I will tell you, these tubes were an absolute nightmare because they're two transparent tubes right next to each other. So it kept saying, like, it was almost like it was trolling me. Like, it kept like making them one big tube, sometime it would turn into 3 tubes. One time I said, make the tube slightly bigger, and I'm not joking, it made like this spiral around the woman. So this one is called "Don't Use Until After 2 Seconds, because that's when she turns Asian. Yeah. Yeah, so now I'm just going to talk for a second about, like, just what I think is coming next. Within the next, like, this is within the last 6 months that we got this capability. 6 months is a huge amount. Next semi, there's going to be crazy stuff to talk about. Next AMI, there's going to be crazy stuff to talk about. And I'm really excited for it. What I'm really excited for is for it to understand cell biology, you know, because one of the things I've been trying to do is create illustrations. Like, I did one of an alveolus, the inside of an alveolus, which I'm not showing you guys. And I wanted it to like light it and do stuff with it, but it had no idea what it was looking at. It's all abstract, and if it's not trained on any of this stuff, it just doesn't even know how to parse it. So I'm looking forward to, I mean, if I'm going to predict 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, probably 5 at most. before it's really able to start to understand stuff. Somebody's going to plug in the protein data bank. Somebody's going to plug in histology, photography resources, and all of the work that Christic ever did. Somebody's going to be plugging in all of this stuff eventually, and it's going to make it into what we do. And right now, my sibling is a game programmer that does stuff for. They're a freelancer, but they do stuff for very kind of like big name indie games, right? Like games that accompany big movies and stuff like that. And what they have told me is that coding, when they code, it feels like a waste of time because they should be telling the code, give me an object that uses this class and references this other thing, and make it so that when I call on it, its normals are always going to be pointed towards point B. And it will immediately make that. And then they can run it, and then they can check it and debug it, and then just continue to iterate on that. And literally in a day, a week's worth of work gets done. And so I predict that's going to make its way into our things. You saw that I am making my own art. Like, if you've seen my work on LinkedIn, you've seen that I do a lot of concept art and so forth. Imagine taking that purple drawing that I had of the nucleotides, and then taking the concept art, and then telling AI, make me an actual image of it based on that, and then curating how that imagery moves. That's what we already do in 3D, but we're doing it like almost like a backwards puppet show. And instead of doing it that way, instead of trying to put our hands into the actual instruments, we'll just be the conductors. So, and also, I will also say, I'm not going to program anything. Like I could vibe code like an app if I wanted to. That technology exists now, but I'm not going to because I don't care. I don't want to. And that's the thing, is people don't do this stuff like what we do because they don't want to. They're intimidated by it. It's not relevant to them or whatever. These are all tools that are going to make us into the best artists we can be. All right, so now I have 7 minutes left. I would be happy to answer any questions. Feel free to link in with me on LinkedIn. Always email me. And this link at the bottom is about a 20-minute long style development tutorial that goes through how I did all of the different prompts and everything for that little hand style thing. But I'm happy to field questions if there are any. But I think I probably hit everything.
Right, I'm monitoring the chat as we speak, but if anyone in the audience here has a question for Cameron, I'll walk your way. Just raise a question. Oh, sure, while I'm walking, I'll ask the chat question. Does the studio handle the release forms with client photos? When AI processes are disclosed, do you deal with a client who responds with, we can replicate this process ourselves with in-house resources?
So we don't deal with the image releases. The client will give us all of their own images that they have access to. With the AI outputs that we use, they always grant commercial license to those images. So to within whatever extent the US law allows copyright of AI-generated images, we start out with that. But what was the second part of that question? It was...
Ever tell you, hey, we can do this on our own, we can replicate this process?
To be honest, it's so easy, we don't even charge for it, so yes, please do it yourself.
All right, wonderful. I'll pass this off.
So one of the things I always wonder about AI is we know what AI can do. I'm always interested in what it can't do.
Oh my God.
And what I want to know from you is, what do you think will be the last thing that AI cannot do?
The last thing, that's such a great question. The last thing I think that the AI can't, like the last Rubicon that AI will cross is going to be, and I'm going to quote Brandon Pletch here, the last Rubicon I think is going to be that I can say, look at all of these scientific papers. You do everything end to end. Look at all these scientific papers. Extract a narrative, put it into story structure, work with me and show me your process, but create imagery that tells this story perfectly. And then it ends up with like a scientific video so beautiful it makes you cry. I think that the day that that happens, I will be able to type in, say, make me $1 billion company, and it'll just do it. Which, at that moment, things are going to be so different for everybody on every level that I sleep at night by being an optimist and saying that it will just make life easier rather than making it Mad Max.
Hey, so I was wondering if you guys have looked in the direction of using like agents or skills or anything like that to create personas and things for user testing, gone that direction of all your brand voice checkers and things like that.
Excellent question. We've experimented a bit with AI-generated voice. Typically, I do the Scratch voice at Microverse Studios. We call it the house voice. Because I'm the most enthusiastic speaker. But sometimes I don't have the bandwidth to do Scratch audio, and so the animators will put it through 11 Labs, but they've trained it to do my voice. And it does pretty good, but it's just not quite the same. We have had no need for consistent artificial personas, and I think that that's probably going to stay the same because that may undermine the confidence in like an investor-based industry like biotech, where you have to trust the people in charge, you know? It could happen, but it's just never come up in our case.
I'm just curious, because it's something that I've been asked to of recently, so I was looking for feedback from others, but.
All right, we have time for one more question. Noah, okay.
Hi. I know you'd mentioned wishing AI could do cellular stuff. Have you ever played with the idea of training AI models? And if you did that, like, what would be the resources that you need to achieve, like, your own trained AI to do what you want to do scientifically?
I have not done it. The sibling that I mentioned has done it. And they do a lot of local AI generation regularly. Funny story, I have 2 minutes left. So when I was doing all of those like personas for that video, there's a second video that we also did where I had to do like 30. And one of them is an attorney. And that was the only one that AI was like, oh, nope, can't do this. I'm not doing this guy. And and it's funny, I didn't know who it was. It was just like, I need this person looking comfortable and just standing there, you know, and looking confident. And the AI was like, no, nope. And I guess that, and like we were thinking like, what could it be? Like maybe there's some pattern that an attorney has that the AI recognizes as just being a liability. But my sibling was able to generate that video locally, which made it no problem. Surely, I know for sure that there are ways to do it. Joe, is that in Comfy UI? Does Comfy UI allow you to train?
Yes, yeah. I think if you use it locally, like through Comfy UI, you can get around like all the limitations of public online APIs and generators.
So for those online, Comfy UI does allow you to generate locally and get around a lot of those limitations that we were just talking about. And Joe, I think you're presenting later on today, right? Ah. Better luck next time, everybody. All right, I think that's it for me. Thank you very much, everyone.